Hey guys, my name is Jax Atlantis. I'm an astrologer, a reader of tarot, and creator of the Nameless deck, which is this tarot deck you have before you. And today I decided I was going to do a pick a card reading. I got the idea from Atia's Tarot. She wanted to do a video where basically she covers the feminine energy that is emerging in the collective right now and trying to shine forth through you. And I'm going to be focusing on the masculine energy that is emerging forward and what lessons there are. And so take a moment and use your intuition and see which of these 5 piles resonate the most with you. And then I'm going to have timestamps for each of the piles so you can skip ahead if you for instance, pick number 4 or number 5. But take a moment and choose the number, and then I'm going to be looking at these for the first time. So I haven't looked at what cards want to come through as of yet. So for pile 1, let's get started with you. Pile 1, your 3 cards are Death, the Magician, and the Ten of Swords. So right now, this is an incredibly intellectual space for you to be in, and not just because of the air energy from the Ten of Swords and the Magician, but when we see this energy connected to the death energy, it means that you're going through a lot of intellectual transformations right now. First and foremost, the death card usually will represent that something is coming to an end and that you are on the precipice of a new beginning and a new journey, but it's an incredibly intense energy to observe and to be a part of. So a lot of times the death card is about how you respond to change, how you respond to that death and rebirth process. And the Magician is trying to tell you that, especially in the masculine energy within you, that you have all this potential and that you have this rising energy that wants to go forth and create something, because the Magician has this energy of creation and of bridging the heaven and the earth, the mundane tasks that you have to take care of, as well as sort of the sole purpose that you are guided by. But the Ten of Swords is where it gets really intense, because this suggests that there is a death of an idea that you need to have, that there's some part of the vision and the projection you have going forward that needs to be altered or needs to be changed or possibly needs to be erased entirely. So right now in the masculine, this is suggesting to go forth and do something new and to find the courage to do that and to face change with courage. So that is what I have for pile 1. Basically, be thoughtful, be bold, and be courageous. For pile 2, let's see what comes up for you. For pile 2, we have the 9 of Swords, the 8 of Swords, and I don't bother doing reversals because I talk about them in such a way where it's usually pretty clear kind of which side you're dealing with or having difficulties with. So this one is actually, once again, very much in the mental realm. So first and foremost, we have a regression. And so this is where we not only have a 9 becoming an 8 as we move through the reading, but we actually have a 9 becoming an 8 of the same suit. So this is basically, it's telling you pretty clearly, first and foremost, acknowledge the anxiety, acknowledge the fear, acknowledge all of the things that are almost happening inside your head long before they're actually happening in the physical. Acknowledge the things that you are thinking about constantly or putting a lot of your thought energy into, and to take it back a step. With the 8 of Swords, this is where we're supposed to break certain mental patterns that we have. Usually it'll be patterns of self-talk, or it'll be patterns of how we're categorizing our thoughts, or what we think it's possible for us to achieve versus other people to achieve. And what's interesting about this is it leads into this very grounded, earthy energy, the Hierophant, Moon Taurus. So with the Hierophant, this tends to be a character who can almost stand as a pillar for his congregation or for the other people in his life or in his community when he is up against a wall or when there's a great storm that's going on. And in a way, he's just as affected as they are, but he is almost standing in a state of groundedness. And so if your recommendation here is to take a step back and to acknowledge the thoughts that you're having, but to look at it from a different lens, because perhaps one of the classic examples would be you experience betrayal, and then the takeaway from that is that people can't be trusted, or you experience failure, and the takeaway from that is that you aren't good enough to succeed at that. And so sometimes we'll get the wrong takeaway from the Nine of Swords, and we'll have to go back to the Eight of Swords. And what it's also suggesting is that apparently you are not the only one in your immediate circle who is going through some incredibly intense stuff right now. So it's not about avoiding or not acknowledging the pain and suffering and difficulty that you're going through, but to just understand that right now the people in your life could really use someone who can acknowledge their pain and at the same time be able to stand in a state of groundedness in that pain. So I hope that this helps Pile 2, and if you're going through some intense stuff right now, just know you are not alone. For Pile 3, let's see what you guys have. The Two of Cups, the Five of Wands, and the Ace of Coins. Yeah, this is an incredibly fertile energy. So first things first, with Two of Cups, whether this is romantic, whether this is friendship or business partnership, because we have Venus Cancer here, Two of Cups is a energy of partnerships, two forces coming together. Basically, so with the connected video to this that Atia is creating with the feminine, this energy here with the masculine, it's going to be very important for you to keep an eye on Pile 3 in her reading as well, because this is suggesting that the masculine inside of you needs to partner up with the feminine right now. On some level, there is part of you that might be attempting to maintain control of something, and the reality is that you have to let it go. And it's actually doubled by Saturn Leo, the Five of Wands. So Five of Wands tends to be a lot of skirmishes, battles, and difficulties that we go through. And at the same time, we have to, just like with the Five energy of the Hierophant before, we have to be able to find gratitude in the chaos that we're in, and to be able to find strength in the skirmish rather than being so torn asunder by what other people say, or by minor arguments, or by our own emotions. Basically, with partnering with the feminine, we're able to gain emotional wisdom and emotional control. And this, interestingly, is leading towards something brand new, as far as first of all, brand new friendships for sure, but brand new connections, as well as ideas that can manifest into something physical. And sometimes this can represent investments we make, sometimes it could be new career paths entirely, but there is something that is requiring your creative physical energy, and it's coming from getting a handle of your own emotions and not giving in to the anger, which you'll be justified to have. You'll be justified to be furious about whatever arguments these are. It'll probably be unfair, immature, or ridiculous. And it will probably be annoying, and so finding this emotional mastery is going to be what takes you to the Ace of Coins and kind of creates a different process for you. And if you guys are enjoying this deck so far, I've just released it. It gets publicly released on July 26th, but it is available for pre-order at jacksatlantis.com. It's called the Nameless deck, and what I wanted to do with this deck, it's my very first one I'm creating. I wanted to blend and sort of give more importance to the astrology of the tarot, and kind of put it front and center, as well as to use the sacred geometry and the color palettes that kind of match the astrology more than the traditional tarot. So you might notice that this looks a bit bizarre compared to a lot of other decks, but I'm really excited for this one. So let's get started with Pile 4. Pile 4, we start off with Temperance. We have the Page of Wands, and we have the King of Swords. So Pile 4, this is definitely a time where you're being tested right now. So it's interesting, almost it feels like the masculine in entirety is being tested right now, especially being tested for your mettle, being tested for how strong you can stay in the face of some pretty intense feelings of being inadequate or feeling of being out of your element. So first things first, let's look at temperance. Temperance is an energy that tells us to alchemize negative feelings and to actually turn them into virtues, to take the feeling of sloth that we might have found ourselves engaged in and to turn that into instead discipline, and to recognize that these negative emotions are not representations that we are these terrible people, but that these negative and intense emotions and the situations that cause them are actually fueling us to grow into the people that we actually are. But in that time, the Page of Wands suggests that people are going to have a lot of expectations of us. They are going to ask you to step not only outside of your comfort zone, but to actually step outside of your actual skill set. They're going to ask that you step into something that you might not even think is actually possible to do right now. So to understand that, there are limits to that, and to know that you can still try and you can do so imperfectly. But the King of Swords is really where it kind of comes to a head, which is King of Swords is able to take situations that he's never experienced before, and he's able to be incredibly objective about the way he thinks about these problems and their solutions. He's able to accurately project forward rather than to emotionally project forward, and people tend to come to him with their problems. They tend to ask him as if he's some sort of wise man, and he does have the tortoise wisdom, which is basically, when in doubt, use patience. When in doubt, think from both points of view or multiple points of view. And don't get hung up on trying to handle all of these situations with perfection. Instead, handle them with a honest humility and with grace. And if you do that, you'll be able to navigate these. And now pile 5. Pile 5. Let's take a look what comes up for you. The 3 of Coins, the Ace of Swords, and the 8 of Coins. So probably the most optimistic of the piles that we've had so far as the energy you'll be experiencing. These are all optimistic in the sense that there is something to grow from, something to learn from, and something to glean and to gain. With the pile 5 though, the 3 of Coins starts us off really nice. 3 of Coins, you tend to work. It's Mars Capricorn. You tend to work in a way that is sort of unseen. You might not necessarily get credit for it. I usually will say 3 of Coins is directly connected to the creative excitement as well as the invisible progress of kind of starting that business out of your garage. Like, it's very humble beginnings. Nothing really looks like you're getting anything from it, but if you stay on track with whatever the hell this 3 of Coins energy is, it becomes something incredibly powerful. And in fact, this might be the end of the prophecy here with 8 of Coins. So Ace of Swords is telling you to get inspired and to not shoot down your own ideas. You are inevitably in the direction of victory. If you follow this creative energy, you work in the unseen way, you don't necessarily get credit up front, you will be victorious in what you're trying to do. And then the universe is going to ask that you get educated in something. And so the caption in this card, Path to Mastery, Secondary Education, it doesn't always necessarily mean college itself or a trade school, but there tends to be something in the Sun Virgo energy where we step into the apprentice energy, and we have to make a choice about what we're going to learn and what we're going to dedicate ourselves to learning. So with these energies, definitely the most earthy in a way of these different spreads. But all of these cards are telling us essentially to face our own minds. That seems to be kind of universal throughout these piles. So I hope you've enjoyed this pick a card reading. Like I was saying before, if you haven't already, go to Atia's Tarot, go to her channel and look what she found in her 5 piles of the feminine energy that is emerging forth and shining forth. And here in the masculine energy, this almost not a single one of them seem to point to what exactly is emerging, but more so the thing that's standing in the way of what you know is emerging, and that you have this inner knowing that you know exactly what you need to do. It's a matter of how can you possibly navigate to get to that point. So anyways, thank you guys for tuning in today. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, definitely do so. And if you're interested in getting a copy of the Nameless deck on pre-order, I'm currently offering a free 12-hour masterclass on the tarot that comes with the deck if you've pre-ordered before July 26th. So anyways, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all very soon.